justtoday.fm.
That's right.
With your hosts.
Nice.
Who cares about tomorrow? Is it even? I may not even live till tomorrow. So nothing is promised.
It's always a real possibility. But yes, the joke was because we have one of the hosts of Tomorrow FM. I guess that's not the official show name, but that is the thing that everyone sees.
Yeah. We're changing.
Anyway,
I think we're like concerned. We're like, do we just refer to it as Tomorrow? I think we're dropping the whole name. So just backstory. This wasn't a podcast that me and Adam started together. If you guys don't know Adam, when he gets into something, he'll spend 1 or 2 months in like a frenzy going deeper into it than anyone ever has. So when he was like, oh, I'm going to like do stuff online, he of course had someone design like a full set of designs and graphics and music for a theoretical podcast that he might do one day. And then a year later, he was like, hey, I have all this stuff. Like, do you just want to make a podcast together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay.
Let's make
Easy.
our conversations
Nice.
public. So, yeah. I mean, you've been on before, but let's say today is the first episode for a listener, and folks are live streaming right now. Why don't you give a little intro as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Dax. Don't really know what I am anymore. I guess I'm traditionally a software engineer, but the type of work I do has just gotten weirder and weirder over the last couple of years. Primarily work on a framework called SST. It's open source, do a lot of open source work. But then do just a bunch of weird content stuff for the software engineering community in general.
Yeah. You're like a professional Twitter poster. I guess you schedule a lot of stuff because it just happens.
I never schedule. I never use that feature.
You just think about it and do this. I'm quite surprised. It seems like you're a planner.
No, if you look at my tweeting patterns, you'll see that I'll tweet like 5 things within like 3 minutes of each other. And it's usually because I'm just sitting there for an hour, like reading stuff. And then I'll just be like putting stuff, posting stuff off of whatever thoughts I have.
All right. Well, my perception.
That's my
interesting. That's good.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was a perception. Good to know.
From me, but you know, I'm stupid. So today, though, let's, speaking of stupid, this is the only thing I know anything about. So let me just shine for a moment. Today, we'll be having the Glenmorangie, A Tale of Tokyo. It's a Highland single malt scotch. It is not age stated, but is 92 proof. Which is higher for a scotch. I like that. That was part of it. And then it's been aged in bourbon, sherry, and Mizunara oak casks, which is a particular kind of oak. We had like a bourbon or something finished in those kind of casks, didn't we, Robbie? So
we've had Mizunara once or twice. We have had Amberana as well.
Yeah. Well, no.
It's all confusing. It's all wood.
Yeah, well, so it's bourbon is traditionally an American oak, and so this is just a different kind of oak that they used. A lot of scotch normally is aged in used bourbon barrels also, so American oak tends to get associated with a lot of different scotches. So with this one, they're using a couple of different things for finishes, and then a different oak altogether from Japan, ergo the Tokyo thing. But for those watching in the streaming, I actually selected this for I picked it for you, Dax, for a couple of different reasons. One, and I mean this in the nicest way, you're a little bit of a bitch when it comes to whiskey.
Yeah,
I wanted
appreciate
something
that.
with like a smoother finish to it, and I saw this design, like this box, and it reminded me
like
of
my
those
shirt.
Either silk outfits.
Yeah,
100%. I was just like, this seems like something he could get down with. So, yeah, I don't know. There you go.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, the box is really cool. I'm gonna keep it. It looks nice.
Yeah, and we were chatting beforehand, but we have these double-walled fancy glasses from Norland. Check them out if you want some. We've always had these, but now everyone has them as they come on the show.
Yes.
So
if you are lucky enough to be a guest, you get this and whiskey.
So it's a double wall to prevent like my hand temperature from affecting the.
Nice.
Yeah, so because it really makes a difference.
Inside is the traditional Glencairn shape, which is that sort of tulipy thing, which is supposed to give you the aromas while capturing some of the alcohol, so it's not like so burny and harsh in your nose. And then double wall so that you're touching it, you can hold it normal without having that whole like I'm warming up the whiskey, and so it does stay room temperature. I don't know,
I see.
science or something.
Yeah. And last time I was here, I proactively put ice in it, and that was like a big no-no. So this time, well, it wasn't a big no-no. You guys were nice about it. You were like, well, you can if you want to, but I wouldn't.
I always think this is that try it as it intended out of the bottle, and then have it the way you want it, right? Like, and that
makes
way you
sense.
almost get two tastes. So you try it like that way. This scotches in general will recommend tasting them with like a few drops of water and then ice if you like. They'll say that like introduces oxygen a little faster and all of that. It's just that they have a lower proof, and for me, I want to kind of stay around 90 proof at least. But
I see.
So I'm very curious if my dishwasher fucked up or what scents you guys are smelling, because I'm getting a lot of like wet dog and bananas. I don't know if anyone else is getting that.
I'm not getting that at all. I'm actually getting some like fruitiness, like a dried fruit. A little
Yeah,
bit.
that's what I get too. I would say
Yeah.
dried fruit. It mostly
maybe
smells
my
like
cup
alcohol.
is dirty. Yes,
smells like
there are notes of
alcohol also.
alcohol.
Yeah, there's definitely booze in here. I'm not gonna lie. Yours was sealed when you got it, right? So Robbie wasn't able to like put something in there.
Well, I didn't look too hard.
Oh yeah, I get a little bit of like very light, like orange soda almost, like orange crush, kind of very light though, not super sugary, and then almost like a maple, like a little bit of creme, not creme brulee, but like a little, I don't know, like charred maple.
I'm getting like cinnamon.
Maybe something spicy on the finish there. I don't know. Dax, thoughts, feelings?
Well, like as you guys said that, when you were like orange soda, I was like, oh yeah, totally, that's what it is. And then he said cinnamon, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's definitely what it is. So I think I'm just very.
It's all of the above. The power of
All right,
suggestion
hold
is
on.
very
Let's
strong
try
when it
this.
comes to taste.
Cheesy gordita crunch. You getting that?
That is funny that there's like crunch wrap kind of things. So there's a little side note as we have some sips and think about this. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter that does these little cooking videos, and half of them he does where it's like Cody while getting hammered and what he makes, and then other ones are just normal, legit cooking things. And he made this like gordita crunch wrap, but he did it with like chicken Caesar, and oh man, it looks amazing. He made his own tortillas. Did these little like Parmesan crunches that he put in there, and then just the rest. Anyway, yeah, Cody.
Interesting.
Something. If you like cooking things, I really love cooking content. Like I don't cook as much as I watch cooking.
Yeah, I don't do either. I don't watch it or do it.
You make like loose meat sandwiches or whatever that is.
You always call it loose meat. and it
Loose
sounds
meat?
so-
Oh my god, I've
Well,
never
the
heard
rest
that
of the
before.
world calls them sloppy joes, but he makes like some. thing
Oh, I
that-
thought you meant like deli meat. I thought you were referring to deli meat as loose meat.
Yeah. There is a such thing as called a loose meat sandwich that is like that. But
Yeah.
you make sloppy joes and call it something else.
Yeah, and we call it hot beef, but you always call it loose meat.
Honestly,
They
yeah, I
both
haven't heard of any of this stuff before.
No, you don't want some hot beef.
Yeah,
Hot
they
beef.
both are very
I mean,
suggestive.
I eat hot
and-
beef every day, technically.
Yeah, that's true. Twice a day. Robbie's gonna come over in April and make you some hot beef.
Nice. I might have to get that
I
cleared
could,
first.
yeah, we can share it with everyone.
Share his
Robbie's hot
with
beef.
everyone,
Oh God.
especially Ken Wheeler. He needs a little hot beef to chill out. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about this. Let's bring it back, kids. So we taste things. We taste things in a citrusy thing, some spice. I don't know. Any other unique thoughts there?
I mean, it tastes better than Scotch usually does.
Yeah, a Highland Scotch like this is typically smoother and doesn't really possess those like mossy or smoky qualities to
Okay, so they do it right.
it. There you go. They make whiskey without the E. Well, Robbie,
So-
would you like to rate it? Our
Sure.
Explain our
Our
technical
highly
scale.
technical scale is 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being the worst, throw it away. 4 being middle of the road, and 8 being the best thing you've ever had, clear the shelves, never drinking anything else. And I will say it is not an 8. It's not bad though. Like I said, for scotches, it's pretty good. I've had like maybe 2 or 3 scotches that I've actually really liked. So this one is not one of those, but I don't dislike it. So I'm going to say 4.
Okay, interesting. Dax, do you have feelings?
It's just, this is just so hard because I just don't drink a lot. So what am I supposed to say? You know?
Whatever you want, as if you've ever been told what to say. Are you kidding me?
It's good. Like I wouldn't mind having more of it. So
I
know.
would say what it is now. I would suggest put your ice in there. Have a little
Right.
bit of it later, and then
Yeah.
if it changes, let us know.
So the rating is between 1 through 8, or you just do 1, 4, or 8?
0 to 8.
everything.
Anywhere.
Oh,
You can do,
yeah, I would
you
give
can
it a
do
5. I
halves
would say
if you want.
it's pretty good. Yeah,
What did you
Cool.
give it?
a 5.
He said
Oh,
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting from the both of you. Okay, so I've had a few Glenmorangis. I have definitely had other Highland Scotches. Macallan is one, probably the more popular ones and commonly available. This is better than a just normal Glenmorangie. I think it's actually pretty weak in the lower proof of side of things, and probably just less strong flavors. Oh, I also thought
I just realized we can share things people
we
say.
can do this. This is cool. There is the whole thing. Yeah, we're obviously not professionals at this. Well, that's great to hear. All right, I'm going to bring that up. Anyway, I actually think it's better than a 5, though. I think if this particular one, I think a casual Scotch drinker would find like pretty delicious to have. I wouldn't mind having it with maybe a cube or 2 of ice myself, because I think chilled, that citrus flavor would really come out and become a bit more refreshing. I think it was like $100 a bottle, so not cheap but not crazy. Kind of fun to have around. I don't know. I feel like it's a 6. Yeah, I'd reach for it again, especially just to offer someone something a little different but easy to drink. Booyah. Let's see if we can.
Cool.
Okay.
We have some super not hot at all hot takes.
Wait a minute. I want to acknowledge this whole Lafroig is legit. Like, John, I respect your opinion. You should, whatever whiskey you like is the best one for you. But I have tried to go down that path a couple of times, and it is just a peat bomb that punches me in the face very hard. So, all right, hot takes.
All right. You put this in, but I'll ask, Rails or Laravel?
I haven't used either, so
Yeah, but
okay, here's my deal. I just don't like, okay, that's not true. I have used both, but only to get it working for SST. I find, I'm sure there's great parts of Rails, but it's just not for me. Like, the level of abstraction there is really crazy, and I'm sure once you like understand all of it, it feels pretty normal, but the dimension that they optimize for, I'm not super into. What I've liked about Laravel is I use their docs all the time just to understand, here's like the wide range of things that an application needs. Here's ways you can implement it. I use it as like a research thing. I've been there a bunch of times just to research just other ideas on how to do certain things. So I probably have a little bit more affinity for Laravel. I just could never get on the Ruby train.
well, who let you drive their Lambo too? Don't think I don't know this is a paid endorsement.
Taylor did not let us drive his Lambo. That was not his Lambo.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
was
that's
it?
a different Lambo.
No.
Say you don't listen to their show by not
Not
saying you
all
don't
of
listen to
them.
their
Do you
show.
think he listens to ours? Do you think he's listened to any since the last
I don't know.
he was on to now? I would wager.
I don't listen to any podcast, period. So
Do you listen to your own or no?
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Laravel, probably go with that.
That's fair. I think I think that's an excellent point that you make there, though. Like, what is a true web application framework, or what do you need for a full-fledged web application? Like these Rails and Laravel, I think actually are good representations of those. So
Yeah.
maybe one has better docs, but I mean, I know what you're going to say here too, Robbie.
Yeah,
New
I mean, you
York
don't
or
have to ask
Miami?
these.
Okay,
What'd you say?
New York or Miami?
Oh, this is really hard. It's not an easy answer.
Okay.
New York in the summer, to me, best place in the world, best place I've ever been. If you've spent a summer in New York, you'd like understand this. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because in the summer you're like, this is the peak, like this is so great, you're loving every day, and then it transitions into fall, which is also pretty nice. People love fall in New York, and then winter, which is such a stark contrast from summer. Like everyone is just running from building to building, huddled up. Like it's just a totally different environment, and it's really bad. So that fall from the summer to the winter is pretty brutal, and then you just spend 4 months inside, pretty depressed, getting a lot of work done.
Yeah.
Like you get a lot of work done. You don't get a lot of work done in the summer, so you kind of break even there. Whereas Miami, I'm just happy all year round. It's actually the worst weather right now because I measure it by whether or not I can go outside of my underwear. And the past couple of weeks, I have not been able to.
Is it like 60 degrees?
Yeah, it was even in the high 50s the other day. You know, brutal, deadly even.
Especially in the morning, it's sort of nobody looks good in that. You're not impressing anyone. Walk out in your underwear in that cold. Well, see, like good for you though, because in the desert it gets really chilly. It was we had a low of like 35 the other day, Monday I think it was. We have about 2 weeks of real cold, and then of course it's 71 and it was 40 this morning, but anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy how because I spent my whole life in the Northeast, so obviously I understood winter. And I just spent the last 3 years not in the Northeast, and I'm totally incapable of handling even a little bit of cold already. So,
acclimate quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been brutal here. Like tons of snow. I think the wind chill was like 10 today or something. Pretty cold.
People love the weather.
That's bad. I don't like that. I don't like those numbers.
Yeah. All right, this one is actually very easy, I would think, but let's see. Meat or vegetables?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go with meat. Vegetables are the things you have around the meat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing, the meat eats the vegetables for you. That's right.
What I always say to Adam is, vegetables are alive too. They just can't run away from you. So in a way, it's even more messed up.
Just ask him why he's eating his food's food. Why are you eating the food's food? It's weird.
The messed up thing is I'm pretty sure my ancestry going back like 10,000 years has been 100% vegetarian, and I just like broke the combo by eating 2 steaks every day. But yeah, I mean, I have a side of broccoli every single day with the steak so I don't die. But yeah, I was gonna go with
2 steaks every day. So do you
On the
like
weekdays,
season them different, or like do you just not get tired of that same flavor?
I got really into so steak is one of those things where it's so easy to make. It's like such a basic thing. It's a single ingredient. There's not too many different ways that you can season it. There are, but like, nothing that crazy. Yeah. But you can get to such a crazy level of precision with how you make it. So I got really into just experimenting with every single combination of thing. And when you're doing it every single day, you can really drill down to, oh, I did this different and it resulted in this. So you can kind of really nail down what works well for you and like what you actually like. So I've gotten to a point where the steak that I make, to me, is like one of the best possible meals that I personally could have. It's better than 90% of restaurants I would go to. So because of that, every single day, it just feels like a big treat.
So is it more about process and like how delicious that is, and less so like you're not like doing the carnivore diet and trying to like look at health metrics in this change?
Yeah, so I actually am interested in that too. I'm going to get blood work, I think, next week, because I've been doing this for 3 or 4 months. So I want to get blood work to see if I'm dying or not. I feel great, but I don't think I'd feel any different yet, or feel bad if this is bad for me that quickly. But yeah, so it is part of that. I was curious. I pretty much have been doing keto for years and years and years. I'll do like a bunch of months on and a few months off, and I'll go back and forth. But I never fully did this like straight up meat heavy approach.
Yeah.
So like the health effects aren't anything new. It's like effectively the same as keto, but the taste effects are pretty nice.
Yeah, deliciousness is a good enough reason. I saw that Brian Johnson documentary recently, though, the whole "Don't Die," And then of course he's all over Twitter too with a bunch of metrics and all that kind of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
weird, but also super.
His nighttime erection count, things
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, he's not taking applicants for that, but sitting there, one more boner. I don't know. Yes. Okay. Mark it down again. Yeah. It's interesting in general, especially when I'm in like the other side of that and I think about it some. I have no desire to go down that extreme path like that, but maybe do a few things better wouldn't be horrible.
Where's the
Yeah.
Apple Watch boner tracker? That's what I want.
The
Like,
new one. The new one.
You can't wear it
The
on
new
your
one
wrist
has
though.
one. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Connected. What is the ring that was like popular? It's just a
Aura, the Aura ring.
Yeah, it's just slightly larger. The Aura.
just slightly though.
Yeah, very
Depending.
slightly.
I want to announce this episode was brought to you by the Aura cock ring.
It doesn't exist yet, but it might.
It might now. Robbie's the first tester. He's the youngest of us. He's got the most. Anyway, okay, that did help a little bit. Well, you keep agreeing to do this with me. I don't know what else to say. I do. Okay, no, but for real, like talking about like refining a process of something that you're super interested in. Some of your technological opinions, which we've gone down that path a little bit. Anybody can spend 5 minutes and see you 45 different tweets where you rant about how stupid everyone is, and you might be right. So you're a perfectionist in many ways. What are you bad at, though? What are things that you just like are no idea or just have failed at?
I'm a horrible singer.
Okay, well,
Probably not what you were expecting, but in terms of the
With that
category that you were
voice,
looking for.
yeah, with that voice, I'm surprised. But
I've had random people come up to me and be like, "Oh, are you a singer? Like, are you I forgot what type of singer has a deeper voice. Alto, so I don't know what it is. I've had people just randomly ask me that, but no, I'm a horrible singer. I have horrible control over my voice, and it's just not good. It's not very good.
yeah,
In terms of what else I'm bad at, I don't really know. I think that's
Are you
it.
a
I'm
bad
pretty much
driver?
literally good at everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing you can't really control, you have to be bad at.
yeah, exactly. It's just a genetic thing. I'm bad at being tall. Like that's true.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you a bad driver? Are you?
I'm definitely one of those people that is absent-minded. Like, like I'm not like with it a lot of the times. I'm like forgetful, and I'll like lose myself and realize 30 minutes later I was supposed to be doing something else. I'm surprised I made it on time to this thing. I'm usually like an hour late to meetings.
Yeah. Well, you know that I know where you live, so
Yeah.
there's
Well,
that.
I saw this. You guys sent me this bottle and these glasses, and I was like, I'm gonna feel really bad if I am late. So that
what's
worked on
really
me.
funny though that you never feel bad about is not inviting Robbie to your house. I love that he never gets the invite, and he's like, "Should I just come?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess."
I'm just gonna come anyway. I assume it's fine.
Yeah. Well, Dax did say, like, he's invited. I just thought you'd tell him. And it's like, no. I'm going to really milk this. So,
No, I explicitly don't invite him.
yeah.
That's on purpose. And he comes anyway, and it's really awkward. So what am I gonna do about it?
Yeah. Like, he
Yeah.
showed up.
Yeah.
You're hosting. You're busy. You can't get rid of him. And he knows this. And takes advantage.
Are you guys coming this year?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We're actually going to have
Cool.
quite a spread set up. I guess we can,
Mm-hmm.
for those who are on the live stream and who in a few weeks people will find out. Other than that, so the theme is going to be rum, react, and ramblings. Thanks, Michelle. And we're going to have like a nice setup. It's gonna
Oh
be,
wait,
like,
rum. That's
cozy,
brilliant
right?
because Miami's all about the rum.
Exactly that too. So it just like,
And we're all about the
Yeah.
alliteration.
we're about
Yeah.
alliteration. We like reasons to make T-shirts, and so yeah, we're gonna have like a good setup there. So
Yeah. Liz's dad makes mojitos, but he uses Sprite instead of that's what tonic water what I'm using. Mojito tonic
Yeah.
water, I guess.
right,
And it is really good. It is
Okay.
very good.
yeah, I could fuck with. I mean, there's lime in there anyway, so why not a lemon lime soda? Like that's,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
can mess with that. I was
He
in
also-
Haw-
As I was before, I've also seen him drink a mixture of condensed milk and Sprite. So maybe,
Well,
He's
you
maybe
put the
1 for
lime
2
in the
there.
coconut. Why not in like milk? I don't know, right? You know that song, you put the lime in the
But,
milk.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that also
Yeah.
works like milk or something. I don't know.
And he was having it for breakfast too. It was like a morning drink. I tried some of it and I was like, it tasted really good. It tasted really, really good. But having a whole thing of it is
Yeah,
a
that'd be
lot.
Right.
yeah. Kent C. Dodds said Sprite and eggnog, I think, right?
Kind of similar.
Somebody said that, and I was
he's a
like,
very
that
nice
sounds
fellow.
gross, but I
Yeah.
should try it, I guess.
I mean, I like Kent. He's a very nice guy. I'm not sure I'm gonna take that kind of advice from him. So,
What's the worst that could happen?
and I'll dump a little booze in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, this will be great. No, that's not even how his voice is, and that's rude. And I'm sorry.
No. Yes.
All right, go to the next question.
Yeah. So you had I think it was today, a super giant tweet about conferences and all the things that are wrong with them. Just wanted to get your,
Well,
you
I found that to be a reaction tweet, by the way, of something else that you read. But we'll see if you want to say yes or no on that.
listen, I'm not up to date on every single tweet, but I wanted to get a little bit about your feelings there around like what's wrong with conferences and is React Miami an exception?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing I was reacting to, I didn't look too deeply, but I had seen like a few posts from people being like, this conference is shutting down. Another one's, I've just heard vaguely of a bunch of conference shutting down. I think Kent had a post yesterday. He highlighted something in some article. I don't know. I didn't read the thing, but it got me thinking, and we were actually talking about this as a team at SST a little bit about how we felt about this stuff. Yeah, I think what's been weird for me is I'm not someone that goes to a lot of conferences. At least historically, I have not gone to many, but more recently I have. And the sponsorship side was always so bizarre to me because I have a company that on paper should be sponsoring conferences. Like every dev tool company does this, and this is like a very traditional thing. But it just never made any sense to me at all. Because why would I pay, these conferences, the floor for sponsoring is probably like $5,000. Why would I pay $5,000 to be like a logo alongside a bunch of other logos for a conference of 500 people that are just randomly going to show up there with like they're not like very specifically tied to anything that I'm doing. So the ROI on that just never made sense to me. And I'd always see companies just reflexively be like, we raised a round, that means now we sponsor conferences, and it can kind of make sense if your challenge is we need to let people know that we exist and you sponsor literally every single conference for a year. You're probably going to achieve that goal, but in terms of achieving it effectively or efficiently, it's like it doesn't make any sense at all to me. So the sponsorship side is always something that I found weird. And then once I started going to them more in person, I realized like, wow, there's like ahead of time, you imagine yourself, I'm going to go listen to the talks. When you're there, the vibe is more, I really should go to the talks, but I don't want to because I just want to hang out with all the people that are here.
Basically.
And it's not like if you literally look around, you can sense that energy. Like people aren't really paying attention. Most of the talks aren't very captivating. There's a few people that come on and really entertain and they do a great job and people are really focused, but it's the minority. So that just got me thinking like, what is this? Like really, we'd all just want to hang out together. We want to find a way to fund it so we don't necessarily have to pay to do that. I mean, a lot of people still pay personally, but a significant number of people have their company pay for it. And they're not going to pay for you to go hang out in a city for a couple of days. It's a little bit easier it feels more appropriate and proper for everyone if you're like, this is a conference with like talks and education and training. And so it's like a weird fake situation. And I think it's developed a lot over the past couple of years when there's been just a lot of money from the dev tool side of companies, again, spending that money on sponsorships, exacerbating the fakeness of it. And now as that's receding, these conferences are like, hey, what the heck? Like we're not able to exist anymore. But it's because it like never really made sense in the first place. So if we want this to continue to exist, we need to like reimagine it or, just kind of really address this thing of it needs to be really, really good and like actually check all these boxes, and we can't pretend that everyone was going because, oh, we really wanted to see the talks and the talks were so good and the companies really wanted their employees to see the talks. Yeah, it just really wasn't that.
Yeah, I think the sponsorship thing is interesting because, yeah, I agree. I think maybe just when money was free and it was a tax write-off to sponsor things, it's like, all right, just throw it at it and we'll get a little bit of SEO if we like sponsor everything and our link is everywhere. But it's like, I have this same, it's kind of analogous to like restaurants in my town because like Great Falls is a small town where I am, but like nearby is a big like Reston is nearby and there's like tons of restaurants and stuff there. And so I guess everyone goes to those and not the ones here. And so like the rent for a restaurant here is like $15,000 a month. And I'm like, I see like a person in this restaurant all day. I don't know how you're paying that rent.
Right.
So I'm like, I guess maybe it's like if you're a chain or a local chain or whatever, it's just advertising. It's like you see the logo and like you think about it later, and maybe that's worth it. And maybe that's the same for conferences. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the law of averages.
Yeah, and that's totally fair for companies that are much later stage where your goal is branding. You want to be associated with things that are cool. It's a lot more abstract, a lot more intangible. Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense for them. I never got why the pre-product market fit companies that are really looking for users, that's their number one problem.
Yeah.
Why they would sponsor it and then fly out their team to go like kind of get the attention of 30 people that you grab in like a conference of 500 people total, right? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of like, whenever we make, and like I've made tons of mistakes like this in my career, it's embarrassing to look back on how stupid it is. So I just don't think we talk about how silly a lot of it was. But yeah, it just never really made a lot of sense.
Yeah. It felt like conferences like 15 years ago were very focused, single track. You like knew you were going to, learn ABC things. When I would
talks used to go deep, and now they don't.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to walk away learning something new. And then part of me going there was to bring it back to my team and share that knowledge. And that was sort of like the exchange. And we're like, well, okay, we said, with 6 people on your team, and if we do 6 different conferences, we're really like mind melding across these very specific subject matters. But then, I think it has become a little bit silly because you don't ever, I feel like for many conferences, it is community over actually learning something new lately. And then, where's the ROI on that? I've always heard that sponsorships were not, well, we know we had a company that sponsored too. And what did that get? Did that turn into any paid contracts? Probably not. But, so, it's just about putting your logo there and feeling like you got to a level, I guess.
Yeah. And it's actually like that can make sense if you're like, I am a more established company and I want this type of thing to exist. So I'm like, it's almost like a charity thing. It just, to me, it just never really made sense for the earlier stage companies to be doing that. And then in terms of the talks themselves, I think I definitely, like I said, I didn't go to conference for most of my career, but I did watch a bunch of talks online. So I do recall there being like really important talks that had a big impact on my understanding of something or my exposure to something or me just heading down. Like I remember there's certain things I watched and I headed down like a certain path for years as a result of that talk. Yeah. It's just not the majority. And especially now that this stuff is a lot more available online, there's just a lot more just internet stuff available on the internet. If you want to learn something outside of literally having to go to a conference, it's now competing with that. So the bar is even higher in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think that's interesting because it feels like there is like a kind of a career path where folks, because you'll see some repeat names at this conference, this conference. I speak at 5 to 10 conferences per year, so it's almost like a career path to go and do these talks on repeat. It's like more marketing than development, which I thought was always kind of odd. And you have this whole process for like submitting talks to various conferences and hoping to get in to talk about like your little thing, but also really develop personal branding. It's almost like that. It's like, I want to get out there so I can become a known entity and be more valuable in that way, rather than I'm invited to a conference because I've done these incredible contributions and did this new feature, and now I'm going to show you all that thing.
Yeah. I really fight specialization like that. when you become a professional conference speaker, and I'm sure there's exceptions to this, but there's just a limitation with the depth that you can go into. And we see this even just at our company. Like we don't have someone that's a full-time, like a
DevRel.
DevRel. Yeah. It's been so long. I literally forgot the word, full-time DevRel. But I think we're effective at the role of DevRel because all of us directly work on the thing. There's nobody that is like a professional DevRel that can do what we do because your responsibilities are limited. Like the company you're at like isolates you in a certain way, and you can only kind of work in that zone. So I feel the same way with like getting too much into the specialization of speaking at conferences. The best talks I've seen, the ones that I can remember, are people that gave a talk as a side effect of their work.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the most effective ones, and the ones where I think I would reference offhand when I used to go to EmberConf on a regular basis, and like there was some real themes in talks every year for a while. You had like these keynotes that were releasing features in the core library, but then you also had folks who were doing add-ons that were just super cool. Like I don't know offhand, like Ed Faulkner doing structured programming. Concurrency. That was what it was called.
Concurrency was Mach-D, but yes.
Okay.
It's funny you say Ember because one of the talks that I was referring to, the ones that had a big impact on me, was from EmberConf. I think it was a talk about, I don't know who it was. I don't really remember too many of the details, but he walked through building an app that would run on a spacecraft orbiting the moon, and how like for certain times of the day, it would be on the other side where it can't send a signal back to Earth. So given that scenario, how would
Orbit
you build?
JS?
Yeah. So and then Orbit was like a
Dan
library
Gephardt.
associated with it. Yeah, I don't think he was the one giving the talk though.
Oh,
And
was
I
he
did
not?
use Orbit. I did use Orbit a bunch after that talk. But that was like my aha moment for like local first, which I've been doing for years now. But that was like, it had a huge impact on me. So talks can be super influential, but again, I didn't go to the conference. I just saw it online later.
It's available online later, and you come across that for that like kind of use case. Yes.
Yeah. We used Orbit with Swatch. I feel like there's not really anything that touches the breadth of stuff it will do with like the ease of developer experience that it has. Like syncing everything to, you can use like local storage or IndexedDB or like all kinds of stuff, and then like update your actual backend whenever you have service again and all of that.
Yeah.
So
was Swatch like a JSON API server thing?
it's a color picker thing, but yeah, the backend was JSON API.
The backend is what I use SST. One of the things I've used SST for, and so like that's a long time ago, early days when it was called like serverless stack or whatever, and the docs they had was like my introduction to like trying to do the right thing with that. And I was using the serverless framework and then started adding that in. And so Swatch actually uses that. But yeah, Swatch is like a menu bar color picker app.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. That's another thing. JSON API, really, really great concept that's just underused entirely. I just don't think people, I think the naming is not great because it sounds like a description as opposed to, it's literally like an actual thing.
Yeah.
But they've thought through, it's a spec. Yeah. They've thought through all the scenarios, and any scenario you're going to run into, there's probably a way to do it in the spec. So that whole world's super interesting, and I was in there for a bit. Unfortunately, it it never grew beyond the little circle it's in.
Yeah, they've had a big marketing problem forever. I don't know how you solve that. Things that are cool just are cool because they are. Like you were there at the right time and it took off. Like, like GraphQL was this huge thing. And they say, Chuck, your volume is really low.
Yeah, I'll try and turn it up. I'm probably too far away from the mic too. You know how this thing, you got to eat this.
Yeah.
thing.
Let's make sure you move positions a lot and change your
Check.
volume a lot, so it's really easy for editing later.
Yeah, we'll change the volume completely. Listen, we pay people for a reason.
Yes,
and,
I know.
Maybe we need, Flip Media. Apparently, he's good at these things. I'm not sure. He's probably too expensive for us. So.
He's quite in demand. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, he's like looking for cool people to work with, Robbie, not guys who wear Viore hats.
Hey, my wife got me this hat.
Adam's a big Viore. Adam's a big Viore person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love
nice
Viore.
All his clothes.
Yeah, it's cozy. There's not. It looks kind of pink and it's very not Robbie, so it just throws me off a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to be more presentable with my hats. Like I usually do the beanie, but I feel like that's a little sloppier. So
I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm a little sloppier. Yeah, I was on a crazy diet last week, so everything hits me a little harder this week. Anyway. Okay. So where does React Miami fit in this paradigm?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think it's really any different from what I'm describing. I think the one mitigating factor is, I think we were talking about yesterday, so why do conference organizers bother? Like, why do they bother doing all of this? What's the motivation? I think React Miami is a little bit unique in that it's underlying motivation for it to exist, in that Michelle, myself, a bunch of other people that are involved, there just isn't a big tech. There's not a big intersection between tech and Miami, and we're all very motivated to kind of increase and grow that and do whatever we can to make that happen. So we want to just bring people here, whether that means talks, whether that means hanging out, like whatever there is, whether we can make that work. We're pretty motivated to make that happen. And the thing I think we've been able to do a little bit, and this is like, I mentioned this in my tweet a little bit. So React Miami, finer tickets, right? If you're a sponsor, like I said, 500 people there, you're paying thousands of dollars, probably not worth it. But if the conference itself has crazy visibility online and you're actually leveraging that side of it, then you're starting to see a little bit more value in what you're paying for. So we try to do stuff there that is, unique and might go viral and kind of is in everyone's feeds. And it's been effective. Michelle was telling me that she was in a call with Google to sponsor, and she was about to start explaining to them like, oh, like here's our reach on social, etc. And they just interrupted her being like, no, we know, we all have Twitter, like we see you guys every year. So
yeah, we got it.
Yeah. So like, I think, at least we're able to sell the side of, I say Michelle's like doing 99% of it. I'm like not really involved besides just being there and doing one-off things here and there. But the conference is able to kind of punch a little bit above its weight beyond just what's literally happening there. So yeah, and we have some stuff planned this year as well. We're doing, I think it was announced, we're doing another episode of Terminal Feud at the end. The Terminal team will be there all week, and we have some stuff planned, some new things we're gonna launch. Adam did all the work Adam did 100% of the work for it, but we're all gonna launch it together.
And Prime just shows up because he's too fucking famous now.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey guys.
That's a good impression.
Mustache. Yeah, I practiced his a little more. I'll continue to do that a little bit.
Yeah, we got to work on the mustache game before we go. You think you could grow one between now and then, Chuck?
I mean, I look like a French parody. Like it's not. I did Movember one time, like with the official org, and I was raising money and all this stuff, and I raised enough to get invited to like this event in DC, and it was like cool. So I go to it, and then I get nominated for worst mustache. I was one of 3, and I did not win, but I was real pissed about it. I was like, okay, so I'm just not doing this anymore. Like that's how you go. Yeah,
they're like, thank you. Now we're gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, thanks for this money, and prostate cancer sucks, but so does your face. So yeah, I'm not gonna grow a mustache. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it up. If you want to be that guy, Robbie, you definitely can, and I'll just do like move your mouth, and I'll do the voice, and then we'll just kind of figure it out.
That would actually be great. We should try that.
I'm up for that. I mean, we're gonna have.
I just need to lose like 50 pounds and work out some more between now and then.
Stop eating food. Let's just say Taco Bell is off your diet for a little while.
Just eat 2 steaks a day.
Yeah, 2 sticks.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah. I do want you to ask him this next question because maybe he can. I don't know.
Yeah, I just put a bunch of stupid questions in here because Chuck was busy and didn't write notes. But I said, can you help me set up my router? Because you were talking about.
Yeah, I probably can. If you're having trouble, if you're worried about getting the max speed, I just did a deep dive on it.
You have to have
I
the
think
right
it's-
cables in the right port too, right? You
Yeah.
learn that like not all the ports are fast enough. Yeah, I did. I actually did get that one.
Yeah, it's not intuitive because I also have an Eero and like the ports. I don't know if the models are the same, but like mine, the faster ones are not port 1 and 2. It's port 3 and 4 or something. And I'm like, so I had everything in like the first couple ports, like these got to be the better ones. And then I finally read the back and I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. and then like your cable matters too. Also, like for mine, when I plugged it straight from the modem into the Eero, it was like disconnecting constantly into the faster port. It was like it would like flip between 2.5 gigabit back down to 1, and then it was a weird thing, and I had to put a switch in between to get it all working. I'm like, there's no way random people that just buy this service are like getting it in this right. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Nobody reads instructions because they're like, "Ew, there's 4 ports. Just plug in." Like, well, I don't need to read a thing that says one is different.
Yeah.
I have the
they had a
Amplify
software
Alien
bug
ones.
too where mine was just slower because I got like I upgraded before I should. I got like the 7, the like fancy newest one.
I'm on the 6.
And
6E.
it was not ready. Like they were. It was just like it was slower than the 6 I had before, and I was like, that there's no way that it like I just swapped it out and it's slower because it's supposed to be faster. And they're like, have you tried plugging directly in? Like, of course I've like that's not what I want it to be. Like Wi-Fi 7 is faster because it's faster Wi-Fi, guys. Like,
Don't you need Cat 7 cables too, and you need to verify that they're Cat 7 too.
Yeah, no,
it's
they
all
just have to
this.
be over Cat 5. They have to be Cat 6 plus. I think 6 will do up to like
6E or
5
whatever.
gigs. I think. Something I don't know. Yeah, 7 and 8, and I think there might be a 9 now. Like those are all overkill for the next 50 years. I feel like.
Well, when AI takes our jobs, maybe we can be hardware people because AI doesn't have hands. Like I'm fine. Like I'll be like a install
It'll have
guy, and
hands
I
by then. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's true. There are robots, and I don't know. There are overlords. I'll be dead by then. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have plans if all of software goes away? What would you do?
I was actually just talking to Adam about this today, about telling him about what my next business is going to be. And it's not directly in software. I'm really enamored with this idea of buying a company that does manufacturing here in America, because they're all owned by people that are retirement age. And if you know anything about successful small business, the kids are never able to take over. Like they always sell the business. So I want to identify one that's like the right fit, and I want to manufacture very specifically drone parts, because there's a certain set of parts. Even if you like bring drone manufacturing to the US, there's a bunch of parts that are still only really purchasable from China, and like that feels like the right narrow scope to focus in on and build a business that can build those, and then really focus on automation and then see where you can expand to from there. So I'm very much in on like kind of building physical stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to go into. And that's an interesting niche where you're predicting ahead where there'll be a greater demand or necessitation, possibly of tariffs or something, to source locally.
I figure that it's going to be, and it already is, like a big military need. And if it's in the military supply chain, we can't be buying our parts from China. So I think there's a big need. And like I said, it's like a part. It's not like a whole thing. So you can kind of ease your way into manufacturing it. But the goal would be to be like a much bigger player in manufacturing in general.
Yeah. Get something that's in the black and then start to expand it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing next in the next 10 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether or not
I think physical
AI happens.
things. I think physical things are definitely like, if you don't have something making a thing that people can touch and feel, get on that right now, because that's something we're gonna need.
Yeah, it's harder to compete with like once you have that going. Like there's not going to be an overnight technology that obviates a physical thing as much as it happens with software.
Yeah. I released an entire NPM library that I wrote none of the other day, so I'm worried about my career.
Okay, interesting. Well, just I mean, you got to take full credit though, so there's
Well,
that,
yeah.
and look like a genius until people. Or to
No one
outsiders,
uses
not
it. It was more of
interns.
a proof of concept. Like it was a license checker thing for like PNPM will tell you if your licenses comply with like, or it just gives you a list of the info. So then I'm just like parsing that info to say like good or not. But I was like, hey, I don't want to think through like how to check all of this. Like ChatGPT, you know how to do it? And it's like, yeah, dog. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'll just publish that.
There you go.
But the
And it's
part
been-
where you had to figure out how to publish it, you had to do. You
That's
had
true.
to add the secret to your environment variable, and that's something
Exactly.
that we
And
can't
that's
trust
tough.
AI with.
Yeah.
Don't give AI your secrets at this point.
Yeah.
My bank account. Can you handle my budget? Sure can.
Actually,
Move all your money away.
I do literally that, but it's been fine so far.
Okay. Yeah. Keep us updated.
Yeah. What
Very
are the
curious, but-
safeguards on that?
There aren't any. Just hoping that nothing bad happens. Yeah.
You Claude or Chat GPT?
I'm mostly on Claude. I just started paying for the really crazy expensive ChatGPT one, the $200 a month one, just to see. I've already canceled it, but I wanted to see what the deal was and see if I can
How much
use it.
better could it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's meant for a completely different type of workflow because it takes minutes to respond. So it's not the type of thing where you're like having a back and forth conversation on it. It's
Right.
more like I'm going to write up something complicated and it's going to come back to me with like a large result. So I've been trying to use it to research videos that I do. I'm like, I want to make a video on this topic. Here are the points I want to hit. Here are the things that I'm curious about. Make like a video outline for me. And it does do it. I just can't tell if it's any better than just using the normal model.
And the 20 one, yeah.
Yeah. And I ultimately don't, it's not good enough where I'm just like, oh, cool. I'm just going to use that. I read it and that gives me new ideas and I basically make my own. So it's helpful in the process, but it's not literally doing all the work for me, where if it did do that, I'd keep paying. But
Yeah.
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 I think it's a long way from doing literally all the work on anything. It gets like 80% there on everything, which is like good enough for most things. But yeah, if it gets to 100% correct all of the time, we're in big trouble. We don't
Yeah.
want that.
I think this it's called O1 Pro, whatever it's called. I think all it is doing is automating. If you're really good at prompting an LLM and you're really good at using them, it kind of automates some of those strategies, right? So like it will prompt it with something, then auto prompt it with like, are you sure? And I'll make it introspect on specific things, which is why it takes minutes to reply. But it's like a hack to not have to be good at understanding how these things work. So it's like a meta thing. It's an LLM for your LLM in a lot of ways.
I wish they would just make them less confident. Like my biggest problem is that it goes, hey, this is the answer. This is 100% right. Here you go. Run it. Done. And you're like, actually, did you think about this? It's like, oh, you're right. Now here's the real one.
Apologies.
100%
How about this one?
done. Yeah. Why don't
Yeah.
it just be like, hey, I think this might be right. Maybe you should try it and validate that this works. Like, be a little more humble. Don't be like, I got you.
Yeah.
This is it.
I ask it a lot of times. I'm asking it about like very obscure AWS behavior. I'm just like, what happens in this type of scenario? And it does reply to me with confidence. And it's usually what I want to hear. And sometimes I'm just like, this is way too good to be true. And I say, are you sure? And it's like, you're right. I just made that up. I just know when it's too good to be true. It's like, what? They have the exact API for the exact thing that I need? No, they don't.
Yeah.
No, they don't. No, but wouldn't it be great? Have a good day.
Exactly.
Thank you for your buddy. All right. Well, we're creeping up on an hour.
Yeah, I guess one final thing as our last thing here. kind of related to like AI taking jobs and whatever, what do you think people should be learning if they want to continue to get jobs and stay relevant over the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, I was saying this other day where I've like stopped giving career advice. And I've like kind of stopped. It's like as I've gotten more experience, I've just had less and less career advice to give. I think one part of it is because just as your career goes on, like the way you look at your career is very different from someone at a different phase. Like you have access to things that they don't. So the way you think about it all is totally different. And number two, like my personal career has just gotten really weird. So the way I think about things just, I don't think are broadly applicable. So I can really only speak to like what I'm happy about and what led me to where I am. Again, it's like very narrow and not really general for most people, but I think the key thing is no matter what space you're in, no matter what you're doing, you have to feel like you're going 100 times deeper than everyone else around you. It doesn't really matter if it seems to make sense at all. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, it's worth going deep in this because of XYZ. A lot of times, just the fact that you went deep is enough because so few people make it to that point. And the outcome of it is always good. It's never predictable, but it's always good. And we talk about this a lot at ST. Like if we take something to an extreme, every time we've done this, something great came out of it, but it was impossible to explain ahead of time why. So most recently, not most recently, but the last thing I can think of that fit this is both for terminal and for SST, we went crazy deep into understanding terminals and ANSI codes and multiplexing and how that whole world works. Again, not something that makes a lot of sense. Like terminal technology is from like, what, probably 50 years old now. It's very old stuff, not obviously relevant. But it did lead to us launching a coffee shop in the terminal, which, you know, led to a lot of other really weird opportunities. It actually weirdly solved one of our biggest problems in the SST dev experience, which led to like a whole other set of things being solved. So yeah, just the fact that we went really deep on this and really understood this just unlocked a bunch of stuff. And I've just seen that over and over in my career.
Cool.
Find something
Good
and
advice.
dive deep because you never know. I think it's like
Yeah,
we just don't
never
have
know.
predictable outcomes at this point, right? So just
Yeah.
like find passion and dive deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Amazon. One of the leadership principles, dive deep.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
He would know. He works there.
Yeah. But yeah, we're about at time. Are there things you would like to plug or mention before we end?
No. I think we're good.
All right.
We covered
Everyone
it.
you
You
work
don't
with
have a
is like,
podcast
"Come
or a company.
on!"
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a company. You don't have a podcast.
All right, I have a
you don't-
podcast, tomorrow.fm. I like I said, I sell coffee in the terminal at stageterminal.shop. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you have an error in that, just ping him directly, and then he'll tell you how to make it work.
Yeah, actually, it's also open source, so actually just fix it for us. Just submit a
I
PR
did not
and
do
fix
that.
it.
I just was like, I can't check out, and you're like, oh yeah, do this and this. Okay.
Yeah, that was all Adam. That was Adam's fault. He also works on most of it, so it's always going to be his fault.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
you know, still
We'll
gonna
just blame him either way.
Fuck that. Just kidding. Please come on.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. Catch you next time.
All right. See ya.
All right. Yeah, we have intros and outros.